Alright folks, welcome to another beer review, and today we're going over to Brooklyn. Well, it's brewed in the UK, but it's Brooklyn Brewery's Brooklyn Pilsner crisp lager, 4.6% ABV, 660ml bottle. Picked this up from Asda, and they were doing like one of those sort of like promotions you've seen popped up where you buy like a mix pack or like a 4-pack or a 6-pack and you get a free glass. They had that offer on today, and it was just like quite a boring sort of like pint glass, but I kind of want it anyway. But like the terms and conditions were you had to buy like a 12-pack, and I was like, don't really want to commit. Although I probably could have got away with just going to the self-scan and just buying this and taking a glass with me. But I'm the last person who would want to take advantage of a multi-billion-dollar supermarket. Anyway, maybe next time, if it's nice, I'll pick it up. So yeah, whereabouts is this actually brewed? Does it actually say? Brewed and bottled in the UK by Carlsberg/Marston's. I think that's common knowledge now. Don't know why I had to look that up. But yeah, not anything from Brooklyn for a while. There's the crown. And there's something really quite satisfying about the format of 660ml bottles for lagers. I don't know, I just really enjoy it. And I'm also a bit partial to the 660ml bottles you get from Wetherspoons, especially for like the real ale or guest ales. The selection isn't that good, but you know, you are supporting a brewery like Brewdog, but we won't get into that discussion. Anyway, beer in the glass then, looking like a Pilsner would do, although, you know, you could argue, oh, that's going towards like a Hellas sort of lager style. But yeah, looking damn good. Gentle carbonation, just shy of 2 to 3 fingers worth of a white foamy head, as you would expect. Pretty much straight out the fridge, although it's not really been in the fridge for that long. Let's see, it's now 20 to 10, and I probably got in about 5:30, 6 o'clock, so it's had a few hours. And picked up some pretzels from Lidl yesterday. The sort of like frozen ones you do in the oven, because they're doing that like German, Austrian, Bavarian sort of theme. Because I do love pretzels, and I'm becoming of the opinion that the best beer snack is a nice pretzel. I'm just a little bit miffed that these aren't the salted pretzels, just plain ones, but hey ho, it is what it is. So let's give it a sniff. Nearly went for a sip then. Just smells like a Pilsner. Who knew? Bready, biscuity, a little bit of like grassy leafiness coming through from the hop character. A gentle sort of like dulled down lemon juice as well. Going for a bit of like a Sam Fender style. It's nothing like Sam Fender, and I look nothing like Sam Fender. But yeah, not bad on the nose. Fairly inoffensive. So let's see what it tastes like. Cheers. That's not bad. Not bad at all. One thing I would say is there's a tiny bit of an aftertaste to it that you don't really tend to get in like other Pilsners. But it doesn't seem out of place, if that makes sense. It's definitely got that, like, I'd say it's more along the lines of like a Czech style Pilsner, because it's definitely a little bit more grainy, like oaty, bran, whatever. You know what I mean? Just like a little bit more. Whereas I find like German style Pilsners, the hoppiness comes through a little bit more. You get a little bit more of a refined, defined, whichever word you want to use, like hoppiness, like citrusy hoppiness. Whereas Czech style Pilsners, they rarely let those malts sing for themselves. And I'd say, and I could be wrong in terms of what direction they were going for, but I would say this is more along the lines of like a Czech style Pilsner, and it's really damn good. I think it's like just less than £2 for the bottle, which I'm not going to complain. It's file this beer under, if you're going round to like your mate's house or like family thing or whatever, or you're having a little bit of a get together, and you don't really want to take, unless you're taking beers to share with, you know, other beer drinkers who, you know, I hate saying like, you know, people like you and I, because there's no sort of fucking hierarchy in society because, oh, you like to spend £8 on a double IPA. Who fucking cares? Or if you just like to get a nice simple 4-pack of like punk IPA, sometimes that just hits the spot. I've never been, mainly because I'm tight-fisted, I've never been one of those people who has to sort of like, I've done like beer hauls, I've taken photos of beer hauls, I've shown people, because I've become that person who, even if that person like in work or whatever doesn't really know you that well, they'll like strike up a conversation. Oh, you like your beer, don't you? Which is terrible to overhear, because that makes you sound like an alcoholic, doesn't it? But yeah, I've become that person who's like known for drinking different beers, and don't know what point I was trying to make with that, but yeah, some people are just happy to get a few pints of Coors Light at the local pub, myself included, on a Saturday afternoon. You've put your footy bets on, you're watching Soccer Saturday, and you get a few pints of Coors, maybe a cheeky Madri or Warsteiner. But at the same time, I like visiting tap rooms. I like going, you know, all across the country, going to different places to try different beers and that sort of thing. But I've never like let that like define me, and I've never had any sort of like superiority complex with it. It's just, yeah, sometimes I probably spend a little bit too much on just okay fancy beers. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, that's why I don't like referring to myself as part of a collective. We just like a drink. Do you know what I mean? That's what it bubbles down to, or boils down to. Bubbles down to, you stupid prick. But yeah, so, but then again, if you're meeting up with some beer mates and they've all brought like the ridiculously like tangy farmhouse, which is 90% bacteria with a little bit of like hop and malt profile, a few bottles of this just so people can pour little measures of it just to cleanse the palate, that sort of thing. But it's the perfect sort of beer for me, that I'd take like 3 bottles of this to a friend's house or a gathering barbecue, whatever, and that'd suit me well. Although they always drink really quickly, don't they? Big bottles like this. It's probably just me. I think that's one thing that I have noticed over the years is, doesn't matter what type of beer it is, doesn't matter what ABV it is, I do drink a little bit too quickly. And the negative side of that is you end up buying more beer quicker than like other people are drinking theirs, taking the time. But yeah, this isn't bad at all. It's a very basic, well executed, inoffensive Pilsner. Now, will this taste vastly different to a bottle that you'd get from the actual Brooklyn Brewery, brewed on their premises? Maybe, maybe not. But I actually really damn like this. It's a pretty damn good Pilsner. And one of those where I could probably think of other ones I'd gravitate towards too if it stood right next to it. But at the same time, I've had other beers of this style that I would never really drink again, and this isn't one of them. This is something that I would happily pick up, and I will pick up another big bottle, and I'll see if I could get away with getting the free glass as well, because I have no morals. I mean, we've all been guilty of liberating glasses from bars and pubs without really a second thought, but for some reason, because it's a big supermarket, you're like, oh, should I? I mean, you know, you sort of like feel like you're living on the edge by not paying for one of the carrier bags, because for some reason they've got a barcode but they never trigger the security like scanner things at the entrance, which is something I would never do, of course, because I'm a slave to consumerism. I am actually a capitalist, I think, because I like spending money on nice things and I like earning money, even though the money I earn pales into comparison to the money that people up above me earn for doing much less work. But such is employment, especially in sort of minimum wage jobs. Don't know what direction that was going in. But yeah, I would definitely buy this again. And yeah, 4.6%, 660ml bottle. It's going down an absolute treat. And the only thing I would still say is there is that little sort of like mechanical aftertaste to it. But you can easily overlook it, especially if it was a lot more chilled down than I've got it now. So those flavours, which can happen in any sort of beer really, especially if it's not kept well. But I think this, because it's relatively new, don't know where it's been stored prior to it being put on display in Asda, you know. But yeah, not skunky, not offensive. It's got a little bit of an aftertaste which I can't put my finger on, but that's just a very minor distraction, and for your money you're getting a good measure of a fairly decent beer. So yeah, and it'll complement my now got a feeling that's not going to taste too nice now it's been cooled down, but hey ho, it is what it is, even though I've got two covered in tinfoil so they stay moist for my lunch tomorrow. That sounds really weird for some reason, but who doesn't giggle when they hear the word moist or the words hard and on next to each other? Nearly 35 years old and I still laugh when I hear the words hard on. It is what it is. So yeah, Brooklyn Pilsner crisp lager, 4.6% from Brooklyn Brewery, brewed by Marston's / Carlsberg. You can do much worse. That's all. That's the summary. You could have saved watching the whole video, and I could have easily summed that up as could have done much worse. Anyway, thank you for watching. You all take care, stay safe, and I shall hopefully see you all later. Bye. I look like an overweight Lego piece.